Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Future-Proof Security, Privacy, and Trust, Implementing the ISO 42001 AI Management Standard. My name is Chavinder Kaur, and I will be your facilitator for this session. Before we begin, I would like to cover a few housekeeping items. You have all been placed in listen-only mode. However, we encourage you to engage by typing your questions in the question box located in the webinar control panel. Our speaker will address as many questions as possible at the end of the webinar. If we are unable to answer your question due to time constraint, rest assured we will follow up with the responses after the webinar. This session is being recorded and the webinar recording will be available to you after the event.
Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us today. It's fantastic to see so many of you joining us for this important and insightful webinar on what must be the hottest topic on the planet right now. My name is David Mudd, and as Global Head of Digital Trust Assurance at BSI, trusted and responsible artificial intelligence is a subject very close to my heart. As a purpose-driven organisation under our Royal Charter, at BSI, we see AI as a force for good. Our mission is to support you in developing or using trusted and responsible AI to benefit you, your customers, and society. Right now, BSI is supporting clients around the world with training on a wide range of AI topics, as well as assessing and certifying organizations for AI management. For the next few minutes, I will share with you some of the latest issues and trends we are seeing in AI around the world. Now, AI, it's a tool. Like any other tool, it is there to help us and support us, not to replace us. So what makes it so special? Well, firstly, it is very powerful, with the ability to analyze data and respond to its findings at a rate and scale humans could never do. Secondly, it is easy to access. Any of us now can access a huge amount of powerful AI-based digital tools on our devices. And that is the issue. It's not so much AI we should be concerned about, but us, how we use this powerful tool. As Spider-Man's uncle said to him in the movie, with great power comes great responsibility. And the route to trusted and responsible AI starts with people and organizations recognizing their responsibilities, whether they are developing AI or using it. Some of the key challenges we face today in AI are linked to how AI is used as much as to the AI itself. The risks and concerns around AI are many. Ethics, bias, and transparency are the core AI issues most discussed. But there are many factors from safety, such as with automated vehicles and machinery, security, robustness, maintainability, privacy, and many more. Despite this, AI is the single most disruptive tool in existence with the capability to deliver a better, more inclusive, and more sustainable world for us all. Most of the AI news has been about the explosion of generative AI, relatively generic systems used to create content. But applied AI solving specific problems has been growing steadily for years and is already widely in use. Generative AI, we expect to hit a peak of the hype curve very soon, from which it will slide down dramatically and then recover to a more manageable growth rate, whereas use of applied AI continues to grow steadily across all industry sectors. AI maturity varies hugely around the world. China's general AI capability is growing massively due to sustained government investment, but it is largely generic AI solutions, often looking for a problem to solve. Whereas in the USA and the UK, for instance, it is much more around specific AI use cases driven by industry need. Now, here in India, we see business adoption of AI as relatively mature. Indeed, in BSI's recent survey, India was second on the list behind China in that aspect. Now, with all these risks and challenges AI presents, we are seeing regulation emerging across the world, again with different approaches, some supporting industry growth, such as China, others focusing on protection of citizens, such as the EU AI Act, the most mature and comprehensive piece of AI regulation in the world, whereas others such as the USA, are focusing on strong regulation to protect government with a more relaxed approach to wider AI. Other countries, such as Canada and Australia, are taking a soft approach at this stage, focusing on guidelines and voluntary codes of practice. Now, latest developments suggest that India is taking a similar approach to China with a focus on supporting innovation, which is not surprising with India's relatively mature business adoption and strong history of being a software developer for the world. Now, as I mentioned earlier, risks around AI touch areas such as privacy and safety, which are already covered by extensive legislation, which gives a further dimension to the complex legal risks around AI. So against this background of rapidly changing technology, different levels of maturity, and emerging regulations, what should you be doing now to put you and your organization in a good place, whether you are a developer or a user, to take advantage of the huge benefits AI can bring without exposing you, your customers, and other stakeholders to the risks? We will be sharing some valuable insight on this during the webinar, but if there's one further point I would like you all to take away from today, it's this. Your AI strategy should be linked to your business strategy. How will you use AI to deliver improved or new services, rather than thinking about bringing AI in just because it's the new best thing that everyone has to have? Start small, but think big. And from there, take a long, hard look at the risks, some of which I've mentioned today, the cost of mitigation and your residual risk, and see how that aligns with your business risk appetite. Only then will you start to understand the return on investment for your business and the way forward to adopt a trusted and responsible approach to AI for a smarter and more sustainable world. Thank you again for joining us, and I will trust you enjoy the rest of the webinar.
Now, I would like to hand over to Dheeraj Saxena, sir. Over to you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Chavinder, and welcome everyone. So let's get started. We are going to cover a few important considerations in managing artificial intelligence programs for organizations. So we're going to talk about trustworthiness, what is the regulatory environment, and what about the new risks to AI. Then we are going to jump into a set of best practices which are compiled in ISO 42001, and then we are going to relate them with how an organization can manage the risks to AI using the ISO 42001 standard. And we're going to look at an integrated approach. So we're saying ISO 42001 can complement and supplement your information security management system and your privacy management system. So let's get started. What you see in front of you is a part of a picture, and I'm going to unravel the rest of it very soon. What I want to show you here is, look at the left side. So you have some data, whether it is training data or production data, being fed to a computing system in the center. The computing system is doing all the processing and generating some predefined outputs in terms of decisions, actions for the business. Now that's the traditional computing model. Let's now add some artificial intelligence into this. So here it is coming up on your screen now. Now, in the same computing model, what we've done is adding some machine learning. So let me explain a bit of terms here so that we are all on the same page. The term model simply implies it's a mathematical construct or a mathematical function which takes an input, processes it, and then helps us to predict some kind of an output for that. And before the prediction can be done by the AI model, it has to learn a lot. So we feed a lot of training data to that. So for example, if I want to ask as a user my AI system, hey AI system, what's the weather like going to be tomorrow in Delhi? Suppose I have a question. Now, you see the intelligence here. So first of all, it has to recognize my voice as a human being. Then it has to understand my accent, my tonality, everything, and then make intelligence out of it. And then it has to understand, okay, where is Delhi? He's talking about the weather, and you see, I've asked a very subjective question. What does the weather look like tomorrow in Delhi? So that's a very subjective question. Now, unless I feed in a lot of input data to this system beforehand, it can't predict. The beauty of the system is that there are no predefined rules as such in like the ones which you have in a traditional computing model. So it's able to learn by itself, and it's able to answer my question that, look, Dheeraj, this is how the weather in Delhi is going to be tomorrow, a bit of sunny, a bit of cloudy, etc., etc. So it answers my question. Now, here the point is, I can build into this artificial intelligence model or program varying amounts of autonomy. So for example, let's take another example here. An AI drone is being used to deliver, say, pizza. So I simply program it with the destination addresses, and I may have multiple pizzas to be delivered to multiple destinations, and then put the load on that, and then expect it to deliver the pizzas on a real-time basis. This drone has to navigate. This drone has to avoid any hindrances in the path. So that's the level of autonomy. Let's increase this autonomy further. Maybe I have an automated driverless car. Now, again, the autonomy is maximum here. The model, the predictive model, is actually sensing the data in real time and taking decisions in real time. So that's the intelligence here. Another bit which is unique to artificial intelligence systems is the continuous learning. So it's not just the one-time learning which they got from the training data. It's a learning on the ongoing basis in which they are actually fine-tuning the parameters of the mathematical functions, and then after fine-tuning them, they're learning. So for example, if I ask them, okay, AI system, can you play my favorite song from a particular singer? And then it fetches the data from the internet or wherever, and then plays it for me. So it's learning, and next time maybe it'll recommend me similar songs. So that's the intelligence, that's the uniqueness. I wanted to be on the same page with all of you on these features, so that we're able to now look at unique features and risks and opportunities associated with AI models. So let's move forward. So we're going to look at trustworthiness of artificial intelligence platforms. Now, what does trustworthiness means? In the simplest form, it means, am I able to meet, is the AI system able to meet stakeholder expectations in a verifiable way? So for the sake of discussion, when I ask the AI system to play a particular song for me of my favorite singer, and it gives me a remix version of that, now that's not trustworthy. That's not what I expected, right? Uh, and similarly, other things also, if I'm asking it something and it's not giving an accurate output, so then it's not trustworthy. Then the trust level goes down. So other characteristics of trustworthiness include, for instance, accuracy in the output, fairness, transparency. We'll talk about these aspects in a bit. Uh, Now, the examples which I've given you maybe are somewhat low stakes. Even if it's not able to give the correct output, fine. But what happens if the AI system has been part of our daily life and is making important decisions for us? So for example, let's take a real life example here. And this is an AI system deployed by a bank. And you and I are the applicants who are applying for loan. So suppose, for the sake of discussion, there are 1,000 loan applicants to the bank, and the applications are being screened automatically by an AI system. So what do you and I expect? We are the stakeholders. Now, in terms of trustworthiness, we expect that people who are actually creditworthy and are able to pay the loan, repay the loan, they should be granted the loan. And if people who are not creditworthy, they should be moved out of the loan application system. So I'm talking about true positive and true negative here, right? No, but then that's not it. What about people who are not who are actually credit worthy, but the AI system predicts them as not being credit worthy. So that's false negative. Now, if the AI system has a degree of accuracy and it's not able to predict, obviously it's not able to predict 100% accurately, then what will happen? The people who are actually credit worthy but loan is not approved, they are going to be dissatisfied. So there's a risk of dissatisfaction here. Let's look at the other, which is false positive. So people who are predicted as credit worthy, okay, loan approved for this person, but actually that person may not be credit worthy. Now that's a huge operational risk to the bank because the probability of default increases here. So you see, because of the element of prediction in an AI model, there is room for error. At best, what we can do is minimize that error. So, and we have to measure that error also. So here we have a formula at the bottom of the slide in terms of accuracy, number of true observations over the number of total observations. So the true observations are, say, around 800 out of the total 1,000 applications, and it has an accuracy of 80%. Maybe you want to increase it to 90, 95%. That's fine, but there'll always be an element of risk, and one has to monitor this. Now, let's look at another aspect of bias in the AI system. Now, what is bias? So bias is a systematic treatment of a particular group of persons in comparison to other. Either you are giving preferential treatment or you are maybe discounting their presence. Either ways, it's bias. And what's the challenge here? The challenge is equal opportunity and inclusivity of all the people. So what could be the types of bias which could creep in to the AI system? The first one is algorithmic bias. What is that? The mathematical functions or the criteria or the parameters on which the programmer of the AI system has built the AI model can itself be biased because of the mindset of the programmer here. I'll give you a very small example here. Yesterday on Teachers' Day, I received some images and photographs, and they're depicting that a disciple is bowing to the teacher, which is absolutely fine. But then most of the images conveyed the teacher as a male person with some kind of a long beard, long hair. Now that's the example of an algorithmic bias, because the person who created that picture or algorithm sees the teacher in a particular way. So algorithmic bias can creep into the system. Then you can have cultural bias, the way the society thinks. So for example, you have a AI screening system for resumes of potential candidates. And the way it has been programmed is that, to prefer resumes of one particular gender, maybe male, and discriminate other genders. Now that's a bias. That's not acceptable. That's against the fundamental rights of people, right? And then you can have representational bias also. So what it means is, now let's take an example of a facial recognition system, all right? And while training the particular AI model, what you've done is you've fed lots of millions of pictures, but those pictures are from a particular region only, say Europe. Now, if that system is deployed in India, do you think it'll be accurate? Maybe no. Why? Because facial expression is very, very unique to various regions. So the AI system is going to become more and more inaccurate and predict inaccurately if that same system, which had only pictures of European population while training it, is used in India or elsewhere in South Asia. So, and then, so what kind of fairness metrics are deployed here? What are we measuring by? So what are the opportunities or considerations for an organization here to minimize the bias? What kind of metrics? The one which I showed you in the last slide is one example of a fairness metric. So what it means is that, look, whatever accuracy is being given by the AI model does not change with demographies from one region to another. And then did we consider the various groups? involved. So suppose we have to deploy this facial recognition system in a different region, what percentage of people's images are from that region? Is there richness? What about the diversity of the sample size? And what about the evenness? So for example, even for the sake of it, we say, all right, we'll introduce some percentage of pictures from India also. But that's if that is not more than 10%, then the evenness is not there. So think about all these biases and how you want to measure them and report them on an ongoing basis. Why on an ongoing basis? Because the model is learning and tuning its parameters. So it's not a one-time thing. Then what are the processes deployed in an organization for data provenance? So what does data provenance means here? It talks about verifying the quality of data. What's the number of errors? What about sensitive personal data in here? How do we mask it? How do we remove it? How do we generalize it to whatever extent possible? What are the other errors? What amount of bias is there in the input data? Is it from a trustworthy source or not? So look at all these aspects, have a data provenance model deployed in your organization. Let's look at some other interesting aspects which are totally unique to an AI model. The other one is explainability. So let me share another example, personal example with you. A couple of weeks ago, I was about to renew my annual medical insurance premium. So there's a mail which comes to me. This is the link. It's from a trustworthy source. I know who has sent it. And now it says, look, this is the premium due for you annually. Kindly click on this link. This is the amount. And it takes us to the website of that insurance company. And I do that, and it's seamless, you know. I click on it, I pay through net banking, fine. But then this is where it turned a bit dismaying, you know. Suddenly a message comes, Mr. Dheeraj, thank you for paying. We will assess your policy and then approve it accordingly. And if it is not fine by our assessment, then we'll arrange to refund your premium. Now, I paid a huge premium of the order of say 40,000 rupees, and now it's saying we'll assess. Now that was an automated message. So I know it came from an AI system, which is trying to assess whether this candidate's premium, whatever they've charged me, is fair enough or not, keeping his or her age, etc. in mind. But that should have been done before. You are asking the customer to pay this for renewal, he or she is paying it, and now you're saying we'll assess. I don't think that's the best thing to do. So building that feature of explainability in the AI model, that means the ability to explain technical processes and reasons behind the decisions or predictions made. So if it's saying, sorry, Dheeraj, your premium may be higher, let it do that before, and uh, uh, let it explain to me why they have done like this. So let them set their expectations upfront rather than telling me after I made the payment. And let them give me the flexibility to allow contesting these decisions also. The example which I took of loan application, suppose the loan application is disapproved for whatever reason, they need to explain the reason behind that. Then they need to give me more options. So can we trace back the rules, etc., from where these things came and how the decision was made? Then what are the opportunities for a human being? Say, suppose, let's take the example of my bank application for loan. Even if the system has classified it as, say, rejected or put on hold, what are the chances of manual intervention by a bank employee? He or she does the due diligence himself or herself and then decides, okay, finally. So, and that's what we call human in the loop or human on the loop. So human in the loop means that every stage of the AI decision being made, there is an opportunity for the human to intervene. Is that flexibility there? Can it be built in, first of all? Or human on the loop, at least in the design stages of the algorithm or the AI model, can the human being intervene during the testing? So are these controls there? Important considerations for any organizations. And on top of that, just for the sake of validation, Are we periodically soliciting customer feedback in terms of their dissatisfaction, etc., on the decisions made by the AI system? So do look at these considerations as well. And then we talk about transparency. So it's about ensuring proactive communication about the features and limitations of AI systems. See, no AI system is perfect. Over a period of time, it may drift, okay, either because of the data being changed or because of the algorithm being fine-tuned and changing. So the accuracy has to be monitored, the trustworthiness has to be monitored on an ongoing basis. Now, is the organization proactively communicating to the relevant stakeholders in a very comprehensive manner that, look, these are the features, these are the limitations, and this is what can be possible, this is not possible, etc., and that too in a very understandable manner, in a layman's language. So look at that aspect. Now all these aspects are going to come up in various laws, and I'm going to talk about that those also in a bit. So are we doing these checks or not? Do we proactively communicate the features of the model to the customers or not? What level of logging do we maintain? So if we have to trace back for the sake of, say, explainability or auditability of the system, what kind of logs do we have in a very transparent and objective manner which can explain that, look, this was a reason. Let's take another example here. Day in, day out, you are using your mobile phone and you're using the biometric, the fingerprint scanner, or maybe it's doing a face recognition. Are they telling you what's the level of accuracy? Many a times you would have seen that you are putting your fingerprint but it's not able to recognize, which is fine. So are they conveying these limitations? Are they proactively telling you, your mobile phone operator, how this data is being held securely onto the mobile or on their systems, and will it be shared with someone for some other purpose or not? Now these are the privacy aspects. So are these considerations or controls being there implemented or not? So let's pause a bit here and let's talk about your perspective. Now this is where we want to interact with you. So here's a poll question, and I'm going to request my colleague to open up the poll here. And the question is, what aspect of AI trustworthiness do you find most relevant to implement in your organization or as an end user of AI? So there are 4 options. Do let us know. So Naman, over to you for the poll. Yeah, that's fine. So we'll wait maybe 30 seconds at least. Thank you. So we're eagerly awaiting your input on this aspect. Let's wait for 15 more seconds before we close it. And then maybe my colleague Naman can display the results. All right, so we have the poll results. Okay, majority of the users saying all of the above. That's very good. Thank you, Naman. Thanks so much. So maybe I'll share my screen again. All right. All right. Thank you. Let's also talk about some very vital considerations such as the laws and regulations. So the European Union has already come up with an EU European Union Artificial Intelligence Act this year itself, this act has been enforced from 2nd of August. So hardly a month uh, ago, and it's going to be enforced in a staggered manner, bit by bit in phases from 2nd February onwards. So they're going to give us 6 months, and this is based on the OECD principles. The OECD, as you know, is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, so UN organization, to which almost all countries are signatories. These OECD principles have also been endorsed by the Group of 20 or the G20 members or countries of the world. Now, just like all other EU acts, this act is also extraterritorial. What it means is whether the AI system is in India or in Singapore or in within the European Union, as long as it is serving the needs of people in the European Union and they're using it, then it applies. So that's one important consideration. Now, these kind of laws and regulations are coming up almost everywhere in the globe. So the US also has issued an executive order in October last year, in which they're giving 8 different principles of trustworthy and responsible artificial intelligence. Then they have proposed an AI Bill of Rights as well, which is yet to become a bill. So these kind of legislations are work in progress. For EU, they're already there, and it's going to be enforced from February onwards. So let's take a quick look at what these regulations entail. So the EU AI Act has categorized various systems into 3 risk levels. So it has a risk-based approach. The ones which are very, very high risk, such as systems which are actually monitoring the emotions and behavior of people and then doing the scoring based on those behaviors and their social characteristics, they are prohibited. Those systems are going to be prohibited from Feb onwards. They can't be used. Similarly, systems which are doing a real-time remote biometric identification are also going to be prohibited. Those AI systems in which the user himself or herself does not know that his or her biometric identification is being done remotely without the explicit knowledge, again falls into the prohibited category, has to be remote, not allowed in EU. Then the second category of systems is the high risk systems. Let's take some examples. The examples which I gave you of the loan application for bank, or maybe another AI system which is screening the resumes of people for hiring purposes, all such examples will fall within high risk systems. There are AI systems which are part of public or private infrastructure and they're being used by the general public. They will automatically fall under high risk system. Then there are AI systems, suppose in the automobile industries, which are actually, monitoring the quality of the product in terms of safety, etc. Those AI systems are also going to be classified as high-risk systems. So, what are the obligations? I'll come to minimal risk again. Now, for high-risk systems, the obligations are these organizations need to register the AI system on the European Union database. These organizations are mandated by law to conduct risk assessment, risk management. So that has to be embedded in the organization. They need to do an impact assessment also. They need to be very, very uh, uh, mindful of the quality of data being collected and used to train the AI model. Remember, we talked about the data provenance a couple of minutes ago. So data provenance has to be there. Then human oversight on an ongoing manner, on an ongoing basis has to be there. So that means the ability for the human to interject and override the system. How well are those controls being implemented? Then we talked about trustworthiness when we started this session. So transparency, accuracy, etc., and of course the security and the privacy also. All types of risks have to be evaluated. Treatment actions have to be put in place. in such a way that these are embedded in the operating procedures, and there has to be a system of measuring the effectiveness of various controls. And we've seen that new risks which were not there at all in traditional computing systems are now there because of the AI model, which has the ability to predict and evolve and change over time. So then there are some minimal risk systems like the chatbots. So suppose you go to a website, you are talking to a chatbot there who's doing the initial uh, interface with you. General purpose AI, etc., typically can fall here. But then general purpose AI can also fall under high risk systems depending on the risks to the end users. Uh, AI systems such as those which are filtering spam mail on an automated basis, those are also AI systems. Those are also under minimal system, risk systems. So you don't have to register them with the EU database at all. And other product recommendation systems, so like the ones which you, when you do digital shopping, online shopping, they recommend you products based on your past purchases. All those are typically minimal risk systems. So this is just to give you a glimpse of what's in progress in terms of the legal and regulatory environment, and it's very, very binding for the organizations. Uh, so fines to the tune of say 7% of the annual turnover or 35 million euros and so on and so forth are there. We can go into the details later, but that's just to give you an overview of these considerations as well. Then let's come to security risks. So totally new security risks have come up in the AI system. So for example, let's talk about confabulation risk. The word confabulation means delusion, trying to mislead someone. So suppose you are chatting with a AI system and you ask something that, look, I'm having this problem, would you like to suggest? And gives a very convincing answer, but whatever it has given as the answer is not true. It's not for your well-being. That's a confabulation risk. We've seen an example of confabulation risks in the deepfake audio and video, which is being generated. If you track the elections in India in May, uh, there were a lot of deepfake videos and audios doing the rounds on the social media, to the extent that the government had to call up a high-level meeting on that. So that's the level of risk which can come. So be aware of these risks. Then we talk about data poisoning. What it means is that, look, at the input stage, when you are training the AI model, when it's learning initially, the hacker can inject misleading information in those training stages itself. So you have a garbage input and a garbage output. So the data provenance procedures, the data management procedures, privacy controls in terms of encrypting the data, in terms of ensuring that sensitive personal information is not there in the input, etc., need to be taken care of. Then we talk about model inversion, in which the hacker can actually deduce or infer the data from the output of a trained model and extract some input data. So maybe extract the images. So if it's a facial recognition system, the input had a lot of millions of images, those can be extracted, and it's a privacy breach. So my point is very simple. You never know that because of an AI system, when the security breach may happen, when the privacy breach may happen, or when the new risk may materialize. So it makes business sense to integrate it and look at it holistically. So what are your data provenance procedures? Are we mindful? Are we evaluating the data provenance, the validity, the trustworthiness of data on an ongoing basis? Are we doing some kind of a red teaming? So what red teaming is, as most of you would know, we're trying to simulate. So there's an internal team within the organization which is trying to actually do some penetration testing or vulnerability assessment in a way which is stealthy. Stealthy means it has a very noble purpose, but they haven't informed anyone. So they're doing it unannounced. All right, and they're trying to simulate in a very focused manner with a very particular objective in mind, that, look, let's simulate this an adversarial attack which actually an outside person would have done, but it's better that we do it in a controlled manner and point out the vulnerability to the security team. So that's red teaming. It has to be done in an AI system. Then, as I was mentioning, you never know whether harm to an organization is because of privacy risk or security risk in the AI model. So let's look at let's have a integrated security risk management policy rather than having silos, and let the people who are developing these AI models, testing them on an ongoing basis, let them look at various categories of risk, whether it is pure security risk of confidentiality, integrity, availability being violated, or a privacy risks, and so on and so forth. So the organization is expected to do an impact assessment. Till now, what the ISO systems mandated was that, all right, do a risk assessment of what can go wrong to the organization and its employees and assets. Now we are going one step further. We are also looking at what could be the negative impact on the end user, on the society, on a group of people who are going to use. That's impact assessment to be done as per ISO 42001. So after so much talking, let's do another poll. And I'm going to request my colleague Naman to open this. And the question is, in your opinion, does artificial intelligence pose or come up with a gamut of new risk categories, something which is not there before, new risks coming up, which may not have been there in traditional software development? So let's see your responses. Okay, the poll is here for you to populate. So we'll give it another 30 seconds before we close it. All right, Naman, would you like to disclose the poll results, please? All right, very good. Thank you. Thank you for a response. Okay, so let's move on. Naman. All right, thank you. So having understood the uniqueness of the AI model and the unique risks, the new ones, and the unique considerations, some of which are mandated by law also, now let's look at a set of best practices which have been compiled in the ISO 42001 management system standard, and look at how this framework can help an organization in a very systematic manner to address the risks and opportunities. So uh, don't worry about uh, the amount of text on this slide. Just look at the top row, which I've highlighted. Here, the organization is expected to understand uh, with respect to what are the legal and regulatory obligations while determining the context of the organization needs to find out what is it that matters. Does trustworthiness matter? What about transparency? What about accuracy? What about information security? What do the stakeholders need from us? So all those considerations are compiled in the context of the organization and in a very explicit manner involving the top management. Then we talk about leadership and what all is expected from the top management. Here, a lot of involvement is expected from top management in finalizing the AI strategy. Is it aligned with the business strategy or not? What are the AI objectives going to be? What's the AI policy going to look like? So leadership has a lot of role to play. And in governance as well, leadership is supposed to be governing and reviewing the top risks and opportunities for AI. What is the effectiveness of controls? If some internal, external audits have been done, what are the gaps? How are they going to be closed? Then leadership needs to review this. Then there's a lot of emphasis on risk management. So if you look at the pink colored boxes, it talks about integrated risk management, actions to address risks and opportunities in the form of risk treatment plans, clear-cut ownership being defined, how to integrate these actions into the standard operating procedures, and then on an ongoing basis, how to carry out ongoing risk assessment and risk treatment. And it also emphasizes on the impact assessment. So the impact is not just confined to the organization. One has to look at impact to the end users, the society, the groups of people who are going to use it. And there's the usual ISO clauses on internal audit, top management review, the ongoing monitoring, measurement and analysis, and continual improvement. So it's a living kind of a structure which is evolving as the legal and regulatory context is evolving, as the expectations of stakeholders are changing, and as the risks and opportunities to AI systems are changing. So it's something which is ongoing. So let's move on. That was a short introduction to ISO 42000 and how it addresses aspects related to the transparency, trustworthiness as well. In addition to this structure, there are some controls, 38 odd controls in Annexure A of this particular ISO standard, which talk about data governance, data provenance, AI, responsible AI throughout the life cycle as well. Now, let's look at another poll. So this is time for you to interact again. Is there a need for an integrated approach to managing various categories of risks and opportunities? So do you want to operate in silos, or do you want to integrate and make things simpler for you? Do let us know. So I'll request Naman to open the poll, please. Thank you, Naman. Another 5 seconds and then we can close the poll, Naman. All right, so let's have the results. Right, yes, absolutely. There is a need. Thank you so much. So maybe you can close the results now, Naman. Yeah, all right. So before I hand it over to my colleague Ravindra in 2 minutes from now, I just want to summarize what I just mentioned to you. These are some of the overall considerations at the high level for your AI management system. How well is your AI strategy aligned with your business strategy? How well is the organization aware of the evolving legal and regulatory landscape? We did talk about an integrated management system, building AI management system on top of your existing ISMS and privacy management system. How would you want to extend your governance mechanism? Look, given the risk to the organization, there's need for more and more involvement of the top management, the senior management here. How would you like to adapt to that? And then in order to upskill your people for managing the whole AI program well, are we objectively looking at what skills does our organization need? Are we prepared for that? So these are some of the important considerations at the high level. All right, so let me now hand over to my colleague Ravindra. Ravindra, over to you, please.
Thank you, Dheeraj. Good afternoon to all. So while Dheeraj spoke in detail about artificial intelligence and how it should be responsibly used, here in this slide, I would like to bring about two important safeguards to be considered while we are implementing and deploying the AI system is about information security and privacy. Next slide, please.
Yeah.
So digital trust is not just about providing trust to the digital users. It goes beyond cyber security. Digital trust is all about how you instill confidence in an organization that empowers people, the systems and technology to ensure safety, security, compliance, privacy, and ethical usage requirements. Next slide. Yeah, so in order to accelerate the usage of any new technology like artificial intelligence, we need digital governance and risk management. There should be data stewardship, responsibility, and leadership while these new technologies are getting implemented like AI. Cybersecurity and privacy should not be overlooked. They are of very prime importance, not just within the organization, it is also in the supply chain. Controls needs to be maintained very effectively. Yeah. Next. So in this regard, all of you know data privacy is a key issue. Many people would not like to share their information. They feel it's their fundamental right and freedom not to share information. There is an external extensive oversight from regulators and legislations worldwide. As you see, many acts have been being introduced, and EU was the first one to introduce AI Act because of the misuse. So there is a very high oversight on that, and therefore, we need to ensure that the personal data, what we use in artificial intelligence management system, in the systems, it should have sufficient privacy controls to ensure the confidence among the data subjects to share information. Next. So with this, in this AI lifecycle management, right from the inception until we retire the system, throughout, information security and data privacy safeguards should not be overlooked. It should be covered in all aspects, and right from the development, the transparency what we maintain to the data subject. Where possible, we explain them what kind of data has been collected, what result has been published. Security and privacy controls to be maintained effectively at all times. Risk management to be done regularly to ensure the controls are effective, new risk or addressed. Governance and oversight from the management and the leadership is very much required to ensure the success of the system in meeting its objective. So, my session of talking mainly was to emphasize that security and privacy control should not be overlooked while we are introducing these new technology. It has a huge impact on the individuals, society, as well as the organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravindra. So we have another poll. Just this is the last one, and we solicit your response on this. If you want to be contacted by BSI for any of the aspects which are listed here, maybe you want to let us know. So I'll request Naman to open the poll, please. Okay, maybe another 5 seconds, Nama, before you close the poll. All right, let's see the results. All right, so maybe people do want to know further on AI as well. That's very good. Well, thanks so much. So let me share my screen once again here. Okay. So we are now ready for any queries from your side. We thank you for your wonderful interactive participation. We look forward to more such participation. Before we call it a session, do let us know some queries which you have from this session. So over to you. Maybe I'll request my colleague Chavinder to let us know some of the queries in the chat. You're welcome to put your queries in the chat, please.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for this lovely session. In the question box, we have received a lot of questions, but due to time limit, I'll just quickly go with some of the major questions which are I believe, like everyone having those questions in their mind. So I'll ask only those questions. So the first question is, are audits or compliances followed in India for AI system? Which are the present regulation on this, and any mandatory or regulatory compliance to be followed by banks or manufacturing companies or service sector, etc., etc.?
Okay, that's a beautiful question. Thank you so much for that. In India, the legal and regulatory context is that we have an overall strategy for AI, but we don't have any law or regulation specifically on AI. You saw the example of EU AI, the one which I mentioned about. There's nothing specific in terms of a specific law or regulation. It's yet to come. In fact, we don't have a roadmap right now. So, but nonetheless, as I mentioned to you, if an AI risk materializes, definitely it'll either breach InfoSec also or privacy as well, right? So every InfoSec breach or AI breach will have a collateral kind of an impact. And we have, as you know, laws in place for information security and privacy. Currently, only those apply. There's no specific law for AI in India per se, other than the national strategy for AI. That's it. Hope that answers your question. But on the other hand, let me just continue for 15 seconds more, Chavinder. Suppose you are a BPO organization working for a client based out of European Union or based out of US or any other country. You're working for them. Say, suppose you are here, you are processing their data and you're developing some AI applications for European Union, US, or other geographies which already have AI laws and regulations. Now, those are extraterritorial laws. So they are going to be applicable to your organization through the contracts which you sign with those clients. So that's the other half. So it's not that we have to wait till an Indian law comes. No, all those organizations which are having clients outside of India, whether in European Union, whether in USA, or maybe China or Canada, these countries do have laws. Singapore also is having some regulation for AI, to answer your question. Chavinder, over to you.
Thank you, sir. That's next question is, can the processes, requirements, and audit procedure of ISO 42001 AI management standard can be automated using AI technologies?
That's a very, very interesting question, I would say. The capability of an AI system mimicking a management system is still not there. We can't discount the intelligence of human beings so far. It'll take another good 50 years for that to happen. But it's a very, very futuristic question that you're asking. Not right now. The short answer is no. But I appreciate that. Interesting question. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I'll take this last question, and this is for Ravindra sir. I'll take because we are over time now.
Yes.
With so many standards like ISO 27001, ISO 9001, 14001, and there's other standard of data privacy, CSS star, is there a thought to have an integrated risk management system and a impact assessment across standard to ensure a uniform way of implementation of information security?
Yeah, I can take this question. Yes, it can be done. We call this as enterprise risk management. Enterprise risk management, the management system overlap each other, though they have specific objectives to be met. So when we do the risk management, the overlaps can be covered easily, and we call it as enterprise risk management. We can cover the risk of the various standards an organization is certified for in a one single framework, so that there won't be any duplications or repetitions, and it will be more effective. Yes, it can be done. Is what I can tell.
Thank you so much, sir. I hope we have answered your question. Now it's 4:01, so I won't take much time. Now I'll just would like to thank you everyone. Thank you so much, Dheeraj sir and Ravinder sir, for your valuable time, and thank you so much all the participants who joined our today webinar. We hope you gained a valuable insight into how this standard can help you secure a build a trust in AI-driven system, while you can address the crucial concern around security, privacy, and the transparency. So once again, thank you so much for your participation. I have a small request. After this webinar, you will receive a quick survey form. Please spare 1 minute time, and please feel free to give us your feedback. And once again, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye. So we're logging off now.